Here, I describe how two molecules collide with each other and how a photon alters it. You don't have to be a physical chemist to understand this video. You only need the ability to think about pool balls and a sack of potatoes. Imagine two pool balls sitting on a pool table. You hit ball 1 with the cue stick so it moves toward and strikes ball 2. When they collide, one goes in this direction and 2 in that. Even if you've never played pool, the interaction probably makes sense to you. This is the first step in understanding molecular collisions. Molecules are like pool balls when they collide. Both obey the laws of physics, and you can calculate their post-collision motion. The outcome of any collision is determined by the states of the molecules at impact. Their speed and trajectory at t equals 0 will always dictate their state at t equals 1 a moment later. This cause and effect is linked by the laws of physics and will never vary. However, a molecular collision is a little more complicated than pool balls because a molecule's shape is more like a sack of potatoes. They are not perfect spheres, and instead of having a smooth surface, they have bumps like individual potatoes protruding in the bag. Their bumpy shape is because of the arrangement of atoms incorporated in the molecule. Here's an example of a two-dimensional cross-section of a molecule's shape. At the core of each bump is the nucleus of the atom, and at the circumference is the electron shell. When two molecules of this shape collide, their future direction and speed is tricky to calculate, but it is doable. The important take-home message is that the same cause and effect principle is involved as with pool balls. Their state at the time of impact will always dictate their state a fraction of a second later. So how can a photon affect the collision between molecules? Although either molecule can absorb a photon, imagine for this example that molecule 2 absorbs it. When it does, one of two things can happen dependent on the photon's energy level. If a photon of lower energy is absorbed, rotation or tumbling of the molecule starts or increases. Lower energy photons are in the microwave range. This is how a microwave oven works. Water molecules absorb microwave photons and they start spinning or spin at higher rates. If the photon is of a higher energy level, the bond between the two atoms of the molecule starts vibrating or vibrates more rigorously. Higher energy photons are infrared waves. This is how your stove works. Infrared photons cause the molecular bonds of the molecules of your soup to vibrate like crazy. Vibrational energy is often described as being a spring between two atomic nuclei. An infrared photon causes the spring to vibrate. An additional photon may cause another bond to vibrate too, since all of them have that ability. Both rotational and vibrational energy affect molecular collisions. Look at the outcome of this collision without the absorption of a photon. After impact, molecule 1 goes in this direction and 2 goes in that. However, if molecule 2 is spinning, the result is different. Molecule 1 goes in a new direction, as does 2. Their trajectories are also altered if the bond near the impact site is vibrating. Where did the photon come from? It came from another molecule. The molecule may have been a centimeter away or from another galaxy. Look at this sequence of events. At t equals 0, molecule 1 is moving toward 2 as molecule 3 is spinning. At t equals 1, 3 emits a microwave photon and stops spinning. At t equals 2, the photon hits molecule 2 and starts its spinning. At t equals 3, 1 collides with 2 and their direction and speed are altered. If 3 emits its photon too late, it will not affect the collision. Or if miscellaneous molecule 4 absorbs the emitted photon, the collision of 1 and 2 will be unchanged. I believe that God's will dictates two things. First, the time at which 3 will emit its photon, and second, that molecule 2 will be the target. Thus, God's will alters the when and where of photons. This is how God, as a spirit, affects the physical world. He moves photons around. When scientists look at the when and where of photons, they see random events. And that is exactly what they should see, since they don't put God in the picture. But when they observe what they believe is arbitrary activity, they are actually observing the will of God. So how does altering one molecular collision affect the world? The butterfly effect describes the flapping of a butterfly's wings in a distant land, resulting in a tornado the next week in your backyard. The movement of one photon might be similar. However, I don't believe that to be the case. I think many photons are involved. If only a very small percentage of the molecular collisions in your hand are affected by photon movements, that is still 1 trillion events that occur in your hand. Look at your hand and make a fist. You just moved 1 trillion photons. But wait a second, didn't I say it's God that moves photons? That's right, for the rest of the world, but He has allowed you to control them in your body. But wait another second, doesn't your brain cause your hand to move? You may feel as though your mind is in your head as part of your brain, and that may be exactly how it works. But it's my guess that your mind is controlling your brain, your hand, and all the neurons in between. Your consciousness has control of all parts of your body. You are created in God's image. As He controls the universe with His mind, you control your body with yours. You both control photons with your minds, but your control doesn't extend beyond your skin. This raises some questions. For example, if you're not consciously thinking about it, how does your heart keep beating? Or who controls your body when you're sleeping? I'll answer these questions in a future video. In the interim, please leave your comments and questions below or contact me at my email address. I'll see you in the next video. Remember, humility, thanks, and joy.